welcome back, and you can see the title today. I'm finally seeing Antlers. I actually cannot believe it. There was a point in time where I thought that this film might not even exist. But of course, today I'm going to take you along with me and I'm going to give you my reaction, my spoiler-free review, and a little bit of an insight into what to expect without spoilers, and then whether the film is worth going to the cinema for. I have a really good feeling about this film, although I'm going in completely blind. I don't know what this film is about at all, and I've managed to miss and dodge every trailer, so I'm not going to look it up. I don't see any point in doing that because I'm going to tell you the vague what it's about concept in a minute after I've seen it. But I want to go on completely blind because it's very rare that I get to these days. Antlers, what I do know is one of the many producers of the film is Del Toro, which is very exciting because obviously he's a very visual director, creator, so hopefully the film will have that. I do feel like maybe it's a creature feature, but I'm not too sure about that just with the name. And I know it's also based on a book called The Quiet Boy. Scott Cooper is directing. I have not really seen any of his other films. I know he did Crazy Heart and Black Mass, so this is very interesting to dip into horror, and I am just so excited to finally check it out. We haven't got Last Night in Soho yet. That doesn't come out for another week and a half, 2 weeks here, another week and a half I think it is. And today actually Halloween got released in Australia, but of course I want to see Antlers first because it's getting released on time here. So let's go check it out. I am beyond excited for Antlers. I really liked it. I just got finished watching Antlers and I really like this film. I think this film is sick, which is so exciting to say. But if I had to describe it just quickly in 3 words, I would say dark, sad, and a little slow. I mean, that's not 3 words, but you know what I mean. Antlers is not a fast-paced movie. It's more of a, although very effective and quite scary, it's more of a solemn story. It's got serious underlining tones and messages and putting it all together to give us something that we have not. Well, I mean, we may have seen this happen a couple of times in horror, but not to this extent, and we haven't got this kind of entity in a while or ever really to this degree, and I thought it was fantastic seeing that happen. The film is about a boy who is, you can tell just from the start, oh my gosh, he is just troubled. Young boy, 12 years old, very troubled, and his teacher picks up on this and she tries to find out what's going on in his home life, but the truth is darker than anyone could imagine. It does have some stereotypical aspects, mainly being drawings. The kid draws a lot of really dark imagery, but to be honest, I really liked it and it really fit the tone and the whole idea of the film. Like, it all comes together in the core message really comes together, and it all works. You can really tell why they sold this as Del Toro producing this film, because it does have a lot of his darker, more fantastical elements, and I think that they pull it off in a really amazing and shocking way. I actually jumped a couple of times. I nearly twisted my ankle watching this film, if that's possible. I had my legs crossed and something happened and I got so scared that I went forward and went on my leg. And I think it's quite funny, like nearly twisting your ankle while watching a horror movie in the cinema. Like, that's what Antlers did to me. I thought it was quite horrific, but even more so, the storyline really kept me glued because I really wanted to find out what was happening. And I think that people might not like how slow it trickles information, but for me, I was really, I was into it. I was also into the whole atmosphere of the film, which is what really sucks you in. The film is set in Oregon, what I imagine to be regional or rural areas, because it's about the socio-economic issues in that area. So the film has very dark tones because of that, and because of the struggles a lot of families are going through in the area, but in turn, it really reflects that in the atmosphere. It's a dark, dreary movie. The landscapes are, I have to say it, haunting. Wide shots of mountains and fog, and the whole film is absolutely freezing. It's not cold, it's freezing. It's in very blue tones, and they also upped the black in a lot of the shots. Even inside, there's parts at the start that you can like barely make out someone's like silhouette. Not in a way that it's too dark to watch, but in an intentional way that they're really trying to bring in that gloom and that doom, and this film does that. This film, if you're into dread, it's covered in dread. It just it's heavy. It's heavy from start to end, and it really does not let you off the hook. And I really enjoyed that kind of feel. And I didn't know, obviously I didn't know what to expect at all with this movie, but I just didn't expect it to be a whole film based around the idea of dread and fear and lots of trauma. So I felt that was really interesting and just heartbreaking. Like, it's utterly heartbreaking. Not to mention, the acting in this film was phenomenal. It has a child actor. Obviously, I've said it's about a 12-year-old boy, and his performance is just heartbreaking. I can't think of anything else to say. Heartbreaking. It's oh my god. I actually felt some parts were really hard to watch because his performance was so convincing. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Jeremy T. Thomas plays the kid, and the teacher is played by Kerry Russell, who is Felicity. But also, I think that she was in Dark Sky. She's been in some other horror movies, but just kind of lightly sprinkled throughout. For me, I didn't really watch Felicity, but for me, she's definitely someone that pops up all the time, but I really didn't take the time to learn her name. But in this, I think that she does a really good job at revealing enough, but not revealing too much about her character. Obviously, it's the way it's written as well. I felt like this film does give great explanations to what's happening, but at times it holds back on some characters. And I really enjoyed that because it doesn't have to over-explain itself, and the film knows that. It's smart enough with everything else that it doesn't need to, provide that for the audience. And in the end, it turned out to be more satisfying that way, not being spoon-fed all of the information, just little trickles. And I mean, the last thing we definitely have to talk about is the effects. This film, again, as I said at the start, Del Toro, you can definitely see his influence, even though he's just a producer. It is dark and grim, but it also is very shocking. And I really liked those aspects and those moments. It's something I haven't seen in a horror movie in a while and been impressed by, and I was very impressed by this. My jaw hit the floor a couple of times for sure. The visuals were just terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, and I'm really glad that they did them in the way they did. It's very creative. Lastly, I do want to talk about the sound design, because this is kind of where things change for me. I loved most of the music, but it felt like it was very epic at moments that didn't seem like a big epic moment, and then when the epic moments came, it was silence. And I felt like maybe the silence was for effect, but using the big epic music in the wrong areas, it just confused me a little bit. But I will say, it was really cool to watch in the cinema because the surround sound, there's a scene where you can hear something, and I actually thought it was in the cinema because it was so convincing. So the sound was very interesting to me, and yeah, I just wish the music was in different places, but again, obviously they went with that for a reason. At the end of the day, I think that Antlers is a solid horror movie. It was a really satisfying but hard to watch film, full of dread and grim despair. Despair, I tell you, despair. And for that, I'm in between. I want to go 7 or 8. It was a 7, and then with the finale, I'm gonna bump it up to an 8 because I really liked the end of this film. I thought the end was just a lot. And I'm talking about the epic finale, not necessarily the last moment before the credits. For originality, I'm gonna give this film definitely above 5. I think it's about a 7. I think that's very fair. The way it's presented is very different and interesting, although it does stay to a lot of the stereotypical horror aspects. I feel like it breaks the mold and breaks the tonal feels a little bit, which is very interesting. And for scare, I'm going to give it a 7. I thought it was quite scary. I mean, everyone scares their own, but for me, this was a scary film. I jumped a couple of times and I nearly twisted my ankle. I would recommend seeing Antlers if you can in cinemas. Highly recommend. I really enjoyed this one, and I haven't seen a film that has such gloom or doom in a long time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you here. I do new videos every single week talking about horror movies, talking about thrillers, and giving you a lot to put on your to watch list. Also letting you know whether films are worth your time with how I discuss them. Hopefully it gives you an indication if it lines up to your taste. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Go see Antlers. Bye, friends.